Motorola just dropped the Moto G for 2026, and here's the surprising part. It feels like a phone that's stuck in last year, or honestly even earlier. Before we jump in, make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit that like button. It really helps me keep bringing you more tech breakdowns like this one. In a market where budget phones are getting shockingly good, the big question is whether this $200 Moto G is still doing enough to deserve a spot in your pocket. And that matters because the Moto G series has always been about one thing: being the safe, reliable choice for people who just want a phone that works. No gimmicks, no fancy promises, just the basics done right. The problem is, in 2026, just the basics isn't really enough anymore, especially when competition is moving so fast. On paper, the Moto G 2026 looks fine. You get a 6.7-inch display with a smooth 120 Hz refresh rate, a big 5200 mAh battery, 30-watt wired charging, stereo speakers, a headphone jack, and even expandable storage with a micro SD card. Motorola also sticks with its vegan leather back, which honestly still feels great. It's grippy, doesn't collect fingerprints, and makes the phone feel more premium than most glossy plastic budget phones. But once you start using it, the compromises show up fast. The display is a perfect example. Yes, it's smooth at 120 Hz, but the resolution is just 720p. On a screen this big, that's hard to ignore. Text looks softer than it should, and YouTube videos can look slightly blurry. Thick bezels, especially the bottom one, make the whole thing feel dated. In 2026, even budget phones are starting to push higher resolution panels, so this feels like Motorola playing it way too safe. Performance is another sticking point. Motorola reused the same MediaTek Dimensity 6300 chip from last year, paired with just 4 GB of RAM. There's a RAM boost feature that borrows storage as virtual RAM, but that's more of a band-aid than a real fix. In daily use, the phone gets by, but barely. App switching can lag, animations sometimes hesitate, and even basic navigation can feel a beat slower than it should. If you're coming from a Moto G 2025, there's basically no reason to upgrade. And if you expect smooth multitasking or gaming, this isn't the phone for that. The camera setup doesn't help much either. The main 50-megapixel camera is decent in good lighting, but it struggles with dynamic range and tends to oversaturate colors. The 2-megapixel macro camera is mostly useless. It's there to fill space on the spec sheet, not to take photos you'll actually care about. The one real upgrade is the new 32-megapixel selfie camera, which takes sharper selfies than before, though skin tones can look a bit off, and video is heavily over-sharpened. Battery life is supposed to be one of the Moto G's strengths, and while it's still good, it's oddly inconsistent. Despite having a bigger battery than last year, it actually tested slightly worse overall. You'll still get through a full day comfortably, and charging is reasonably fast for the price, but it's strange to see no real progress here. Software is one area where Motorola continues to do well. The phone ships with Android 16 and Motorola's clean Hello UI. It's close to stock Android, with genuinely useful gestures that don't get in the way. The downside is support, just 2 OS updates and 3 years of security patches. When competitors are offering double that, it's hard to ignore. So who is this phone really for? Honestly, the Moto G 2026 feels like a basic phone for someone upgrading from a much older device, or maybe for a kid who needs their first smartphone. It does the essentials, but it doesn't do them especially well compared to what else is out there. When phones like the Galaxy A16 offer higher resolution displays and much longer software support, or when spending about $80 more gets you something like the CMF Phone 2 Pro with way better performance and cameras, the Moto G starts to feel like the weakest option in its own price range. The Moto G 2026 isn't terrible, it's just unambitious, and in 2026, that might be its biggest problem. What's your thoughts on this? Let me know in the comments section. See you in the next video. Take care.